الله عليه وسلم وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا رحمة للعالمين. الصلاة والسلام عليك يا نبي الله، الصلاة والسلام عليك يا شفيع الله. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh to Hafiz Ridwan. Uh, Thank you for joining us. A special guest tonight, inshallah, all the way from Cape Town. And assalamu alaikum to all our participants as well. So inshallah, tonight is going to be a little bit different. We've decided to actually introduce Hafiz Academy, where he's a founding member. So what we'll do, inshallah, is going to be more kind of an interview session. So I'd just like to start off as usual with something from the Quran Sharif, as instructed by Maulana as well. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأزد عليه ورتل القرآن ترتيلا. And briefly, it stated in the Quran that we should read it with slow measured rhythmic tones. And I think Brother Ridwan, Hafiz Ridwan, and them have done a lot of work to try and help the Ummah, of South Africa to try and read the Quran Sharif with Tajweed. And Alhamdulillah, they've come up with the color coding of the Quran Sharif. So, Brother Ridwan, just to introduce yourself to the participants, your organization, and what role you play in your organization, inshallah khair.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وأصحابه وبارك وسلم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. The name is Ridwan and I hail from Cape Town District 6, born and bred in Cape Town, and due to the Group Areas Act we were forced to move to Gatesville. And Alhamdulillah, over the years, gained some education, etc. And there was this need, and I'm just jumping now. What we came to realize was that the Muslims were reciting Quran, but they had a concern for Tajweed. And if I go back to my own experience, I studied under the late Imam Ibrahim Shamsuddin from Salt River Masjid. And the Ustad would underline all the Tajweed rules for us. And the concern was that, let's say, after a year or two, you lose the Quran. Then you have to start all over again, marking each and every Tajweed rule. So there was that concern. And when I went overseas, studied abroad, came back, then the opportunity came to start the HAFIZ Academy. And if I can just mention the trust board, we are a number of individuals. It is myself, my brother, Dr. Nazim Ismail, my wife, Wahida, and Mr. Abbas Romani. He's a retired businessman. And then Jainuddin Hamdullah, who is also a retired businessman. And then also Dr. Amin Parker, Parkar, who is also a retired medical doctor. So we got together and we realized, or we decided to start this Hafiz Academy with the intention that any student that memorizes the Quran with the Hafiz Academy, it will be totally free of charge. And many people told us, but how can you do that? I mean, you need to pay salaries and, other expenses and things like that. And our response was very simple. The Quran belongs to Allah and Allah will take care. And Alhamdulillah, Allah has really taken care of the Hafiz Academy and all our activities that we have embarked upon and what we're planning for the future, Alhamdulillah. And so when we started the Hafiz Academy, we had over 100 students on a full-time basis, and we were based at the Gatesville Masjid. And lo and behold, my fear that a student will lose a Quran, and it so happened, because we used to underline all the Tajweed rules. And so it meant that we had to start all over again. And then one day I just decided to take a page, I photocopied the page of the Quran, and I used coloring pencil, and I color-coded the different rules on the page. Then I called one student up to me and I said, do you understand what is on this page? And they just saw color blocks, but they didn't understand what it was. And then I explained to the student, I said, you see, that color is ikhfa, that one is qalqala, and that's idgham. And the moment the student responded, oh, is that what it is? And when I saw that reaction, I knew that we have something, a winning recipe here. So alhamdulillah, we then started with just color coding Juz Amma, and we then conducted adult literacy classes where we taught tajweed. And alhamdulillah, the mosque was so full. We had over 10 teachers teaching adults to read Quran with tajweed. And the color coding really took off because people appreciated it. It simplified things for them because there are so many rules. And whilst you're reciting, you need to be able to recall all the rules simultaneously and also be able to apply it correctly. And so many things are happening in the mind, and it's really fast-paced. And so with the introduction of the color coding system, it sort of simplifies things for the recite of the Quran. So all they have to do is wherever they see a color block, you just apply either a nasal sound or a guttural sound or a jerking sound, whatever it is, but you will learn the rules as well. And so alhamdulillah, we can very confidently say that the color-coded Quran, alhamdulillah, it has been accepted worldwide. It is available worldwide. And alhamdulillah, that was 20 years ago. And today, alhamdulillah, we have something new in the pipeline, inshallah.
So can we say that that's proudly South African? Alhamdulillah.
No, truly.
So Hafiz, basically, alhamdulillah, like I said, the points that we wanted to discuss, we've covered quite a number of the points. And like I said, from my side also, I'd just like to keep it simple. The intention, obviously, to bring you on was to discuss exactly the color coding and to discuss even the future projects that you people are busy with, which you've already touched on briefly. I would like to know from a perspective from, like, say, South Africa, where we are faced with challenges financially. And like you said, alhamdulillah, things are done fi sabilillah. What other projects are there in the pipeline to be able to assist now, not only the youngsters, but we're talking about, the elders like ourselves and even our parents for that matter, who haven't read Quran in the past? Do you have something that is already in use? Are you working on any programs? Can you maybe elaborate on that?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, 20 years ago as well, the first book that I compiled was what we know as a surat, or the Yasna al-Quran. I'm sure you're familiar with the Yasna al-Quran. And we in Cape Town, we call it a surat. And I compiled this booklet. It's 3 volumes. And we then introduced it to adults. And alhamdulillah, it was a resounding success. We had at one stage 1,000 adults coming to learn on a Saturday how to read the Quran. And so we had 3 sessions running at Rylands High School. In fact, Gatesville Mosque became too small for us. They didn't have enough classrooms. Then we moved across the road to the Rylands High School, where we had access to over 50 classrooms. But alhamdulillah, we had, like I mentioned, close to 1,000 students, and these are adults wanting to learn to read the Quran. And alhamdulillah, some of those students are now teaching other students in the community, other adult students. So alhamdulillah, we have the winning recipe. We have the books. Unfortunately, we can only teach it in Cape Town. For me to come to Lodium, etc., to go to other parts of the country, it's basically, basically impossible for me because I'm busy with other research projects as well. However, COVID has taught us that with the access or the accessibility of online platform, exactly what we're doing now, we can reach many more people on a global basis. So inshallah, we have the content material. We now have to convert that into video format and little lessons where you can be anywhere in the world and you can access it. And we guarantee you that when you go through that program, you'll be starting from the letter Alif to a point where you'll be able to recite the Quran, inshallah.
Inshallah khair. So I understand the challenges from Cape Town to Pretoria, but like you said, we do have technology that's available to us. So briefly, I'm aware of some of the participants and some of the family members, some of the friends that obviously have requested assistance to say, look, they're too shy to go in front of an Apar or a Molana to say, teach us to read Quran Sharif. So briefly from your side, how soon do you think that program that you discussed, that you'll be putting it in place so we can try to even use that to be able to give access to all of us in the community, for that matter, to try and use it and benefit out of it?
Yeah, in fact, we at the stage now where we have those books, and we have actually improved on that, in that we now have also the surat, but we now exclusively take words from the Quran, and we now teach you the meaning of it at the same time. So what we're planning to do is you're going to learn the surat, you're going to learn how to recite the Quran, but at the same time learning the meaning of the words. So it's not going to be a quick process. It's going to take a few years, but the ultimate objective is to recite the Quran with understanding. And that is our new focus that we are promoting, inshallah. For far too long have we been memorizing the Quran. We recite it so melodiously. We recite it at khatams, janazas, in Ramadan. But you ask a Hafiz student, tell me, translate a particular verse, or explain to me that surah. What have you understood? What is the gist of that surah? They will not be able to tell you that. And, we want to address that particular shortcoming, just as we've done with the Tajweed rules, alhamdulillah, 20 years ago, by introducing the color coding system. So many Hufaz have used the Quran, memorized the Quran. Darul Ulooms are using it, madrasas are using it. So alhamdulillah, we feel proud in that is our contribution. But we are not satisfied with only that. We want to take it a step further, in that we want the reader or the reciter of the Quran to understand the meaning of Kalamullah.
Inshallah. So I think, Hafiz, basically, you've covered so much, and from my side, I'm obviously trying to think what else I can ask you. I think the important thing and the reason that I've mentioned initially to try and bring you on board was to let our participants know that we're not only sitting there and going, like you said, as normal speeches and lectures and whatever it is. We're definitely interacting with a lot of individuals around the country, even internationally for that matter. So while I've got the participants on the line, I'm just going to share a bit of a screen sharing from basically the website that's there. I think Hafiz, you'll be able to just help and show what I'm talking about. So on the website itself, like Hafiz talked about the different publications. So that's just a bit of a screenshot that's there. And I think for those who don't know what the color-coded Quran look like, I just went to the YouTube channel and just clicked on this part here of it. So Hafiz, maybe from this point itself, when you started off initially, you talked about taking a pencil color and coloring this. This has now been printed out in text. And for example, you know that the green or the red or the blue is either ikhfa, idgham, or mud, it depends. So those rules are there. So I just want to share this briefly. And like I said, what I'd like our members or the participants to feel free to ask, with your permission, if they got any questions with regards to your organization and how to get involved. Even though you're from Cape Town, some of our participants are possibly from Cape Town, but from a Pretoria perspective, how do we extend your resources to this side? I don't know if there's anybody from the participants who's got any questions. I know Ibrahim is normally a person who likes to ask questions, so if he's got something, or Masood Bhai as well. Anything from your side?
Whilst we're waiting on participants to ask the question, if I can just also share what we're currently busy with. we're running a pilot project where we have taken Surah Yasin and we've broken it down into 15 lessons. And the idea behind it is to memorize Surah Yasin with understanding. And so we take 4 verses. We then teach the meaning of each word. We then do a online test. And then there's also a test on Teams. So the test on Teams is where you have the Arabic word with 2 English options. And then you select it. You select the correct answer. Once you've completed the test, the program gives you your results immediately. Then you do the recitation of the verses. Then there's writing exercises. So you write all the words, you write the verses. So once you've done all of those steps, then the last part is memorization. So before you memorize, you already know the meaning of each and every word. So once you start with the memorization, it's just a question of linking things up. So from that exercise, we already have 20 students, 20 adult students that have started this program. And alhamdulillah, they are thoroughly enjoying it. And we can already see where this, inshallah, is going to lead to preparing the entire Quran for HAFIZ students, where a HAFIZ student can have access to the course material and memorize the Quran with understanding, inshallah. Again, it's not going to be a 3-year program. We are looking at pacing it over a 20-year period. So it is not only for primary school students or high school students, it is open to adults. So even an adult, you can be an engineer, a doctor, professor, whatever profession you are following, a businessman, housewife, this course will be for you. And once you make your intention that you want to memorize the Quran, it is the videos will be there. You will access it at your leisure, at your time. And you have to be at it. You just have to dedicate 1 hour every day. And we have prepared a schedule or a timetable where you just dedicate 1 hour every day. So in other words, on a Monday, you're going to learn the vocabulary words. Then the next day, you're going to write it, and then you recite the verses. The third day, you test yourself, and then on the 4th day, you do the Teams test. Then the Friday, you memorize. And so the Saturday, you recite it to your teacher. And so that is what you do the entire week. Every day, just 1 hour. You know, we're not saying spend a whole half a day. No, just 1 hour, and you dedicate that to the Quran. And inshallah, we think that is a working, it's a workable solution, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah, that sounds quite good, quite exciting. And like I said, from our side, it's only about education, 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 enhancement all the time. That's all what we're looking at. And as usual, a lot of the participants that are on here like to keep quiet. Maybe will ask me a question in the background. I do have one question that has come up from one of my daughters that are standing here next to me. So with regards to a child or even an adult who's become Hafizul Quran, like I said, in the past, they've had the teachers who taught them possibly with the tajweed, limited knowledge that they had. What's the process of rectification? You know, do they restart? What do they do? You know, because we have some children that are already in school or in the madrasas that have completed 5 siparas or 10 or 20 or 15, whatever it is. How do they rectify that before they complete it? Or those they have completed, how do they rectify it? Because obviously that's one of the reasons and the challenges that we're having in the masajid when it comes to Taraweeh Salah. Our fasts don't want to come in front simply because they know that the tajweed is not in order, and they're not to be blamed, or even the teachers are not to be blamed. As time has evolved, alhamdulillah, like you said, we have got resources that have been made available to us, and it's exactly what you people have brought in the color-coded Quran to make a difference. How do we try to rectify that?
There are various ways, and just off the, off my head, 2 ways I can think of. The first is the difficult way, and that is to start all over again. Basically, what it means is you have to unlearn what you have learned. So in other words, if you have learned something that you've pronounced incorrectly, you need to fix that. And that is a very challenging process. The other process or approach would be to listen to, let's say you take a short surah that you want to improve your tajweed on. Then you find on YouTube, you find a qari that recites that particular surah, and you listen to it over and over and over, and you try and follow that recitation. And that is how you will improve your tajweed, inshallah. And you know, the qalqala is the same throughout the Quran. So if you get it right in, say, Qul Huwallahu Ahad, if you get it right there, you will get it right throughout the Quran. So it's not really difficult. So if you, for example, your ikhfa, if you get it right in another surah, then that same application will be consistent throughout the entire Quran.
Hafiz, there's one last thing that I'd like to find out. So when we come to our children, okay, sometimes as adults also we still children. So I know your program that you're planning, inshallah, with your team, we're looking plus minus 20 years. What's the initiative, if I put it for a child, in a sense, to say that come here and do this? You know, everyone is looking for a reward. I know the reward is in AKHIR, but how do we bring our youngsters, our children, into this program? Because like you said, it's going to be for every age group. It's not necessarily going to be for a specific age group. You know, I'm trying to look at a way to say, you know what, I'm going to get this child in, he's going to get a lollipop at the end of the day, something like that, you know. So what's in your mind to say, how can we bring our children? Because nobody wants to really come on if there's no reward at the end of the day, and that's a fact.
No, absolutely, absolutely. In fact, what we have done now with the Surah Yasin, at the end, when they've completed all the tests and the writing exercises and things like that, and the entire program, it comes with a writing book as well. So they've got to complete all the exercises and things like that, right? So at the end of the program, they then receive a certificate. So for these young students, we can then offer them a certificate for every juz that they complete. So that is something to work towards. And if it is, for example, a primary school student, then if I take my own experience, when I was at high school, I memorized 5 juz over a 5-year period. So it was 1 juz per year. So that is also the target that we're looking at for primary school students. So there's no rush. What it means is you are going to revise your work. You're going to become so solid in the meaning of the words. So whenever you hear the word, whenever you hear the verses being recited, you will understand exactly what it means. And that is the idea behind it. Inshallah.
Hafiz, I'd like to say Jazakallah to you. We've reached our time limit. I'd like to say thanks to the participants who've listened. Just to share with everyone that Hafiz, inshallah, I do have his contact details, his email addresses. Obviously, I think Hafiz will share with us the programs. If anybody is interested at any stage, please, you can contact me. I will forward you Hafiz's details, or we can do it together via email. I would like to see the participants getting involved, inshallah, and learning this. And if we do it, our children are ultimately going to do it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you, Hafiz, in your team, in your organization. Allah Pak Barakah, and you people continue, inshallah, khair. I'd like to say Jazakallah again from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for sharing this valuable time with us and this valuable information to us all, inshallah khair. Shukran jazeelan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh to you and to all our participants.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shukran for the opportunity.
Barakallah khair.